Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 26th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Saturday has been going well for me. Currently, it's in the afternoon time as of recording. But yeah, weather's been nice. Vibes have been tight. Let's see. I started my day off doing some laundry, and I figured, hey, for breakfast, I'm gonna get some bagels, but I'm gonna go to Panera. I haven't been to Panera in like a really long time. Especially for breakfast. Usually, I feel like their breakfast is kind of like the most simple part of their meal. I feel like that's definitely like a lunch spot, kind of early evening dinner vibe. I don't know, but needless to say, I went up and I got a couple of bagels. I got a blueberry bagel and I got a cinnamon crunch bagel, which is obviously their best bagel. I think is their cinnamon crunch bagel. I got both with walnut honey cream cheese. Pretty good, pretty good. I will say, in a large coffee, which was fine. Let's see here. I will say my only gripe, and this is like definitely first world problems, lazy guy problems, is the one knock I have with it, like with Panera's setup, is they will always just like say, hey, we'll slice them, we'll toast them for you if that's what you want, sure. But you gotta apply it. You gotta, it's dealer's choice on the spread. And I get that. I fuck with that. But when you get like a feeble little plastic knife and you're trying to get out this cold, thick cream cheese, which is pretty good, by the way, it just, it does take away from it. It goes, oh, I could have just done this at home. But I will say the cinnamon crunch bagel is good. Like, it's definitely almost as good as the French toast one, and it's probably cheaper. So, definitely kind of more worth it, I feel like, on the econ. But anyway, overall, good little breakfast that I had for my morning, which we love. Laundry went well. Workout went really well. I think that's like, I hit a couple of, personal bests for myself, which always feels good when you do that. And just generally, it was a good pump sesh. You know what I mean? Good little workout, good little sweat out. Let's see here. Let's rewind it back though. Let's do the little food corner. I had some Korean fried chicken. I feel like that's kind of my new norm now for Fridays. Had the spicy bag, which was really good. I think it's my favorite. I know it's my favorite. With the white rice and some egg rolls. I had the two pagoda egg rolls that I normally have. This one, I think they were like the chicken ones. And then I also had these two little spring rolls that I have from. It's the same company that makes the Korean fried chicken that I buy. But they were pretty good. I just always hate when the spring rolls are really small. My beef with spring rolls is that they're already like, tight and usually skinnier, smaller anyway. So when you have like ones that are like the size of a thumb, I'm like, I'm down, but like that means I feel like I got to eat more of them to like compensate for how small they are. You know what I mean? I guess I'm an egg roll size queen. I don't know. What can I say? Egg roll, spring roll, they're all rolls to me. All right. Anyway, it was good. It was yummy. I enjoyed it as per usual. So yeah, it's been some good eats over the past 24 hours. We love that. Still a little sick with the sniffles, but it's winding down. Just a little cough, just a little, sneeze. Throat's not too bad outside of like, top of the morning, end of the night. You know the vibes. But all right, let's go ahead and do our startup and we'll get into it. A couple of things that I wanted just to kind of talk about light, maybe heavy. We'll see. But yeah, let's go ahead and do the startup, and we'll just get into it. Now, our first article comes from USA Today, but I really am not hitting this hard. It's a bit light, but in terms of just my coverage on it, because I didn't really dig deep on this shit. It's kind of just extra poppy shit when I really look at it, but it is related to the election. Trump's involved. Um, Aliens, North Korea, election interference, takeaways from Trump's Rogan appearance. So Trump has, they've been kind of playing coy since, I don't know, like way back. Like, is Trump ever going to be on, the podcast? Is that going to be a thing? It finally happened, yesterday. It was almost 3 hours of them yapping at each other. Excuse me. I haven't tuned into Rogan since around the time Post Malone first went on, and I watched a few of the episodes and then immediately caught the vibe. I was like, oh, this is Joe Rogan now, and I was immediately turned off. I wasn't into it. And I mean, like, I get it. If that's your thing, if that's what you fucking fuck with, cool. I feel like most of my listeners are not Rogan heads. Let me take that back. I've actually seen some of my listeners' tops, and I'm happy to be a part of those tops. But I also realize I'm getting gapped by Joe Rogan, which is a crazy sentence to say, but it's true. It's just a fact. I can't beat him. They call him a mega podcaster now. They like he's like a one-man Beatle, and it's like, you know what? I guess so, man. Like, proof is in the pudding. Him and his little sharp ass long nipples. You know what I mean? But that being said, it was a podcast, and I say this as like, look, I even came back. I was like, you know what? Let me try it. Let me listen. You know, I love a good yap sesh, and this is that. Like, I'm actually gonna tell y'all, whether you like Trump, whether you don't like Trump, it's probably worth it if you like a good podcast session, because it made me feel like I was on drugs. I mean, granted, I was a little on drugs, but like, it made me feel even more so. I was like, is this what DMT feels like? Like, which is kind of a shame, because I don't think he asked Donald Trump about DMT, which is kind of a bummer. They did talk about Mars and aliens, which is weird, because I feel like that was where you maybe got the most Rogan pushback, was about that. Was like, and then even then, I almost found myself on Trump's side, because he was like essentially, like, Rogan was, I think, trying to say like, there really isn't life on Mars, and then, like, Trump kind of does like a who can say, like, what's life? Maybe it's like a different kind of life. I think maybe, but that was kind of in regards to like Elon Musk and yada 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 blah blah blah. I really didn't tune too much into it. I've done a lot of reading and a little bit of clip watching. I tried for like 30 minutes, and it's like, dude, they just glaze each other under the messy fucking table. It just wasn't that fun, because like, I'm sitting here feeling like, okay, I enjoy that they're just talking, and it's like a stream of conscious vomit. But like, what I don't enjoy is that they are doing the thing that like, we got to stop and fucking bash like Kamala Harris and do this and do that. And I got to stop and glaze you and like say how you're not Hitler, even though like literally there's people in your administration that were like, no, like literally dude was telling me like, yeah, Hitler did some good things. And it's like, bro, like if that's you, then that's you. Like, it's hard to kind of fucking dodge that and be like, nah, like they're trying to do a smear campaign. But like Joe Rogan's like, yeah, they're trying to smear you, the media. It's like, okay, man, just get his dick out your mouth, bro. And at the same time, Trump was doing the exact same fucking thing, like, if not even more so. So at the end of the day, it seemed like they were both having a good time. They started talking about the fucking weave, and I was like, oh shit, dude, I'm in the Matrix, bro. Oh my fucking God. But to kind of like, I don't know, do a palate cleanser, or actually, no, one thing I wanted to say before I move on to my next part of this, I guess maybe the most interesting thing was they did kind of talk about the election interference in terms of like 2020. Of course, Trump time and time again has doubled down, tripled down, infinity down. Every once in a while, he'll be like, oh, maybe I did lose. But like, he stays on this narrative of like, no, they took it from me. It was a stolen election. And Rogan kind of pretty much is like, well, it'd be really good if you could like show some evidence, kind of like, give us the proof. And Trump more or less is like, oh yeah, like maybe another time I would love to come back and like actually bring the evidence, like a ton of fucking evidence. And like Rogan kind of presses is like, well, like maybe you could just elaborate a little bit. And he kind of almost does, and then pivots and talks about like Hunter Biden and felonies and all this fucking shit. Oh, Biden crime family, whatever. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, at this point, I really do, and maybe this is just me being a fucking sore pessimist, I really do think Trump has his shit on lock. I actually think it was a great idea for him to go on Joe Rogan's podcast when he did. Like, when you really are trying to catch and capture a young male, like, base, Rogan has that. A bunch of fucking just losers listen to podcasts like myself, like Joe Rogan, which, hey, I love you, by the way. I'll give you kisses on the forehead. You're my favorite. But like, we're all losers, baby. And we all like this shit. We just like listening to people yap while we do stuff. So like Trump coming on to this like platform, which also he's been really good about it. He's also been on like Theo Von. all kinds of shit. It's like he's pretty tactical about it and pretty good when he's talking. Like it's weird. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's a lot of bungling. It doesn't really feel very coherent, and like a lot of people can tear it up. But there's also just certain moments where you're like, damn, like I actually kind of am finding myself almost enjoying this conversation. But then a person like me is just like, I'm also finding moments where I want to vomit and I hate this conversation. It was also a thing in terms of like Kamala Harris getting mentioned a lot, which is where I was going to try to segue. Like I said, a bit of a palate cleanser, balance out. I was like, you know what? There was that whole Call Her Daddy podcast where she was on that. Let me try to get on there and listen to that, which I also could not finish because it just got like kind of boring. And like Kamala Harris does this thing where it's a very political thing and you get it, where it's just like, she speaks in these parables. She speaks in these stories. She talks about her mom a lot, and I get it, especially in the situation where you're at. And once again, that demographic that you're trying to capture and reach. But it's the coconut tree thing, and I get it. It's just like she just keeps doing variations of that kind of stuff, and like, I think a lot of people really don't like that. I think if you're like an Oprah watcher or something, yes, that's your bag. If you're a View head, then you like seeing that shit. But if you're someone like me, it puts you to fucking sleep. It's Hunk Shoo Mimi shit, and it's not that interesting. And you kind of, your eyes glaze over, and it's like, whatever. But I mean, at the same time, do I prefer it a little bit more? I guess so, sure. I don't know. Once again, Trump is more interesting because you're waiting for him to say some crazy shit, and he inevitably probably will. So, you know, I think like tip of the hat kind of goes to Trump on that shit. He's a celebrity. He's coded to be that. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, they were talking about The Apprentice and shit, and it's like, oh yeah, and I like how he defended it because like at one point Rogan says like, oh yeah, like the show stopped or whatever. And he goes, no, it didn't stop. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger took over. I was still helping out. I was still like producing it and shit. Like he's very passionate about the things that he feels he does well. And I'll give it to him. Like a lot of people talk about like, oh, Trump's such a good businessman, blah, 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 blah. And I'm quick to be like, bro, let's talk about Trump University, because that shit was bogus. That shit was a waste of time. That was a open grift. What do you mean? Where was he a good businessman? I think he's just good with generational wealth and like flipped a lot of properties and dumb shit and probably got tied in with some fucking good people. Almost like a proto Elon Musk, if you will. It kind of makes sense why they get along so well. But at the end of the day, like, what good business has this guy done? To me, point of praise is The Apprentice, is where you sell this package that is Donald Trump. He has the signature Yethayid with this whole hand thing, like he's like a fucking cobra, like he's fucking true ogre. You know what I mean? Good for him. It worked out. He sells himself. You know, he's good at that. You know what I mean? It's almost like prostitution. That doesn't make him a great businessman. And if so, then guess what? There's a lot of motherfuckers in the city who are great businessmen. Shit, a lot of people on my street maybe that are even good businessmen. God damn it, young content creators, the great businessmen, women, all kinds. Like, but once again, they say that shit and they just throw that out, and it's like, do you just mean he's a rich guy? Because yeah, he's just a rich guy. Elon Musk, just a rich guy, not a great businessman, not a fucking genius. He did PayPal, and not even did PayPal. In other words, he just pumped it full of money with, once again, his dad's fucking emerald wealth. I know, I'm talking about a lot of shit all at once here, and we haven't really even got to the main shit. I just, you know, that was kind of some daily listening, you know, while I was doing some laundry today. Like I said, I really couldn't listen to too much of it, because it immediately infuriated me, because it's just like, bro, like, this is just it's a glaze off. It's a fucking glaze off. I hate those. I don't want to see that. I could just go to the fucking Pornhub and watch that shit. I don't need to just fucking, you know, spend 3 hours watching fucking Joe Rogan do it. So, you know, no thank you. All right. Anyway, let's get to the news. Let's get to the real news. I know I was supposed, in my head when I plotted this out, I was only gonna spend like a minute talking about this, and I have not done that. So mea culpa already. But from NPR, NASA's Crew 8 mission members return to Earth on SpaceX capsule. NASA's Crew 8 mission members returned to Earth Friday, capping a nearly 8-month mission after their trip from the International Space Station was extended several times. The SpaceX Dragon capsule carrying, the 4-member crew splashed down off the coast of Pensacola, Florida, just before 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, after a ferry nighttime return across southern Mexico. Over about an hour, The capsule pierced the atmosphere with an orbital velocity of 17,500 miles per hour and eventually eased to a leisurely 16 miles per hour under a canopy of parachutes as it landed in the Gulf of Mexico. The capsule undocked from the space station Wednesday afternoon. The crew 8 members spent 235 days in space, the longest of any human SpaceX mission. Their spacecraft, Endeavour, set a duration record for a human-rated capsule, 701 days in orbit. So there's like a litany of reasons and issues that kind of came up, like weather related with like the hurricanes and stuff. I think also there might have been a delay just because of the whole situation with Butch and Sunny. We covered that before. They weren't involved in this one, but we've talked about it before in terms of February. That's when they're planning on coming back home. But there was just a lot of obstacles and delays, and that's what kind of kept them up longer. But we've kind of said this before. It's kind of been told to me that it's like these are the kind of things that come with the territory. You might be set for a certain amount of time, but just like a fucking Call of Duty mission, you're gonna be like, hey, there's some changes. Some things have come up. Now you're going to be on like a bit of submissions. You're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing a little of that. It's going to be a little bit longer until we complete your main objective. So, yeah, it really just reminds me that as much as I love space and like it's so cool to like look out and be like, man, what's out there? I'd love to see that shit. Like, but at the same time, it just like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the rigors of it all. Like, no. Especially, I even learned like, damn, like being up too long in space literally changes your anatomy. And that freaked me out for some reason, even though I'm never going up there. But like, just the idea that like your bone structure is different if you're in that kind of like environment, like no gravity, all that fucking shit. Like, you're a different person when you come back. Like, it's a war or something. Like, no, man, that's crazy. That's too much just to get that amazing view. You know what I mean? But it is amazing work, and it's really cool. Let's continue. The crew included three NASA astronauts: Commander Matthew Dominic, pilot Michael Barat, and mission specialist Jeanette Epps. Cosmonaut Alexander Grabinkin of Roscosmos, Russia's space agency, was also part of this mission. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and I think try to find the quote unquote, I'll say the bad part, at least the potentially concerning part. The space agency says a NASA astronaut experienced a medical issue back on Earth. After medical evaluation at the hospital, 3 of the crew members departed Pensacola and have arrived at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, the statement says. NASA says the one astronaut who remains at Ascension is in stable condition under observation as a precautionary measure. NASA has not released the name of the crew member to protect that person's medical privacy and identity. So that's like really the only snag that I've really heard out of this situation. But overall, it seems like it's been pretty good. So we're happy to see that. I love when any kind of space mission, goes up and comes back down, and it's all good. Also, it's worth noting that this is, a SpaceX collaboration as well. Even though, like I said, I hate giving any kind of props to Elon Musk. It's not just Elon Musk that makes SpaceX, obviously. He's just more or less a figurehead, especially at this fucking point. But it's definitely shout out to SpaceX because, hey, they made a lot of fucking things happen to make this work, and, everything was more or less very safe. We don't know what the medical issue was, but it seems like it was personal, related to the person, and not because of any kind of incident from like space, at least as we know at this point. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and leave it there. From there, we're gonna take it to the Middle East. See if this loads up for me. From Reuters, Israel strikes Iranian military targets. Reports of limited damage ease escalation fear. So I really thought that this was going to get pretty grim. At the same time, there's been a lot of bluster that I really haven't covered because y'all know that I'm in this region a lot talking about it in terms of just the coverage. So I didn't want to really talk about like any of the like the leak. There was like a US leak and like, oh, this is what is being planned and da 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 da. And like, the U.S. is like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is leaked. We're definitely going to do an investigation to find out who did this and why. But like, sorry about it. But anyway, hopefully Israel doesn't go too hard, because they were really talking about it, because we covered Iran's missile strike. Did some damage in terms of like hitting military sites and da 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 blah blah blah, but it was more or less in a fiscal capacity. And they even came out and said, hey, the reason we did this specifically was for the Ismail Haniyeh situation. You killed a guy in our own fucking, territory, our own fucking country, and it's fuck you for that. There you go. We're, that's it. Don't fucking do anything. Keep cool. And they're like, nah, we are definitely going to get you back. So this was the get back, essentially. But they were talking essentially about saying, hey, we might try to hit specific leaders. We might try to hit nuclear institutions that you have. We're trying to fucking blow that shit up. We don't know. We might go full out. We don't know. We might go crazy. And like, U.S. is like, oh no, don't do that. But not doing anything to stop it. Of fucking course. Essentially giving Israel carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they wanted. And it didn't seem like they were really putting any breaks outside of this oops-a-daisy ass leak that they put out. So, here we are. It seems like they more or less just hit military installations. Oh, that was another thing too. They were thinking like, well, maybe we'll target the oil, which no one fucking wanted. Even when Biden like kind of accidentally mentioned it offhand, saying like, oh, it would be bad if they did that. We're talking to them to make sure that they don't do that. Like, it affected the stock market. It affected like the fucking, economics of shit. So that's not good. That's bad Bidenomics right there. But that being said, it seems like this was way more limited to, once again, just military installations. I do believe 4 people have been killed, once again, as just the recording of this. And so, I mean, in terms of the response from Iran, they're saying, hey, we don't know a limit right now, all right? On that, we don't know. We might go no limit, all right, on some Wiz Khalifa shit. But we also don't know exactly what that means. We'll have to just see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, it's an update. It's relevant. So I figured, hey, let's go ahead and cover that. Do a little bit of catching up too. Just, talking about that whole leak bullshit. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move along. I know I just kind of riffed that out, but there you go. You can always check out the article. From USA Today, we're back again. Oh my God, we're back again. Excuse me. USA, or not USA, but I mean Costco, which is very USA. Costco recalls chicken products over listeria linked to larger recall of Bruce Pack meats. So, I mean, dude, like I said, listeria is really taking the cake. Or should I mean, maybe lasagna, I should say, which, how dare I say that? I pray no one ever gets listeria from lasagna. But Costco is recalling more food products with meat prompted by potential listeria contamination, the company recently announced. The move is part of a recent broader recall related to ready-to-eat chicken and other meat sold in grocery stores across the U.S., including Walmart, Publix, Target, and Trader Joe's. The Costco recall includes Rana chicken truffle carbonara, Tagliatelle grilled white chicken and portobello mushroom sauce, and Kirkland signature smoked salmon. Notice letters were sent out to customers who purchased the products on October 11th and October 22nd. The chicken products were sold from September to October of 2024, while the salmon was sold between October 9th and the 13th, according to the company. So that's more or less where I wanted to leave that part. We've talked about listeria, the whole Bruce Pack situation, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, if you have any of those products, be very well aware. Also, that's a bummer because I've had Rana before and it's pretty fucking good. I had the, I've actually talked about this on the podcast, but the lobster fucking raviolis, bro, they go so fucking hard. They're so fucking good. Like, to the point, I'm gonna fucking say it, dude. It would be worth it. I would still eat them. They're pretty fucking tasty. I might roll the dice, life's a gamble, baby. Ed Hardy. But anyway, obviously, anyone who's caught that, obviously, condolences. Hopefully, you're going to be okay. You pull through. A lot of symptoms, a lot of shit going on in that. I don't really want to, run through that again, at least not this episode. So yeah, hopefully everyone is well. Stay healthy out there. Be careful. Be mindful of these fucking recalls. Be aware. Like I said, there's no escape. I mean, shit, you can't even do the fast food route and say, hey, I'm going to get a fucking quarter pounder. Bam, you got fucking E. coli. You can't even fucking go to the grocery store because you're like, ooh, let me get this shit out the bag. And then you get shit out your butt and you almost die. That's not good. Bam. Like, okay, I'm gonna get some, I'm gonna cook it myself with the ingredients. Oh, sorry, we got pesticides or something on the fucking shit. It's supposed to be organic, but oopsie, and bam, you're in the hospital. You can't win. You just can't escape it. It's scary, man. Like, I need new immunities or something. I guess I gotta evolve or some shit. Let me get on my Warhammer shit. I don't even know, bro. I need to be a space marine. Anyway, fuck it. Let me move on. We got one more thing I wanted to cover, and I'll close it out. But you know what that means? It is break time. Time for the last break. Feel free to take one with me if you'd like. I don't know if you're driving around, you're at work. Maybe you can't, but that's okay. Maybe you go to your Zen place, and that's like the same thing, right? It's pretty much, that's close enough. All right. Let me go ahead and get to it. All right. We're ready. From the Associated Press, at least 126 dead and missing in massive flooding and landslides in Philippines. The number of dead and missing in massive flooding and landslides wrought by Tropical Storm Trami in the Philippines has reached nearly 130, and the president said Saturday that many areas remain isolated with people in need of rescue. Trami blew away from the northwestern Philippines on Friday, leaving at least 85 people dead and 41 others missing in one of the Southeast Asian archipelago's deadliest and most destructive storms so far this year, the government's disaster response agency said. The death toll was expected to rise as reports come in from previously isolated areas. Dozens of police, firefighters, and other emergency personnel, backed by 3 backhoes and sniffer dogs, dug up one of the last of the 2 missing villagers in the lakeside town of Talisay in Batangas Promise Saturday. Now, the rest of the article goes through a lot of stories of people, really just going through this natural disaster, through this fucking storm, through Trami. My heart goes out to them. Definitely having that picture. It's cute and sad in the same way because obviously you get a pig. I love seeing a little piggy wiggly. But, just the idea of having to go through this, and it's we got to get through this. Not to mention with our guy, with this little piggly wiggly with Babe over here. You have to survive in these kind of situations. You have to do the best you can to make it. And, obviously I'm happy to see anyone, make it to tomorrow, make it to the next day. And my condolences to the people who are not able. And, obviously it's hard, to get to tomorrow, get through that, get to, the next thing, the next beat. But, that's the hope that we all do it, So, a bit of a somber note to close it out on. Probably maybe should have switched up the order here, but I couldn't help but talk about Trump in the beginning and podcasting. Y'all know me. Then we had to kind of spiral down to the real shit. But yeah, so it goes. That'll be the episode for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Let's see here. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. And, I got a burp. I got a couple. Ooh. Let's see, YouTube, I got another subscriber. I think we're at 83. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much for subscribing. We love to see that. That is super helpful. Like I said, it's the road to 500. That's what we're calling it. You know what I mean? The road to 500 is my 300. You feel me? Okay. So yeah, march with me, my newsies. And leave a nice comment, leave a like. Sharing is always caring. And feel free to flip it and reverse it on any of the other platforms that you might be listening on. Really appreciate it. We love that. But really, the best thing, I cannot stress this enough. If you have made it this far, you're doing it for me. Like you're A1, you're rank 1, you're S rank. Okay, like that's amazing that you've listened to me yap and whine, and if not just today, throughout the days, and you'll continue to. That's insane. That's crazy. Once again, I could kiss you on the forehead. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.